All right, guys, we are back for round three, and I'm joined by Cappuccino on the desk. We have Ranma going up against Alvar. Cappuccino, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, okay, so this is what I can share. I've been playing on ladder a lot lately, and I've seen Alvar playing a lot of green. So I'm expecting to see green out of him. I'm not sure what his other lists are, because I think every time I ran into him it was green, so it's going to be a bit of surprise for me. But Ranma, who I recently have started play testing with a lot, he's been testing out a lot of different decks, trying to pick out his lineup. So I'm not exactly sure what he's gone with, but I can probably expect we'll see a yellow variant that maybe people aren't too accustomed to seeing.
No, Alvar has been playing a lot of green because I can say I've met him a lot on ladder as of recent, and it's been green every time. I haven't seen him play anything else. So he's been putting the work on green, maybe because he feels that green is the best color for ladder right now. Probably because it's going to be in his lineup. Now, it's interesting you say yellow because the only yellows we've really seen so far are rush decks. Where is yellow tempo? Where's it gone, Capu?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. With the Runin change, Runin is such a power card now that even against yellow, if you set up the Runin to block their aggression line, like you're able to just completely shut them down and stall them out. So a lot of people that used to favor these yellow tempo decks have stopped playing it because they think green is just now able to get favored in the matchup, and it is relatively difficult to deal with green nowadays, even as a yellow deck that you used to say in the past yellow was a favored matchup. So I think for a lot of people they've switched to the green because of the Runin, and I'm expecting Rameth to still preference that yellow because of the few hidden tech cards that maybe we'll get to see.
It's interesting because green can single-handedly defeat Crackthorn and yellow tempo. Runin obviously being the key card for the yellow tempo matchup, but mono green traditionally been very good against Crackthorn. But Runin actually makes the matchup even better for them because they play an early Runin. Crackthorn is just wrecked. There's just nothing they can do. They just have to either avoid it, which is very hard because Crackthorn, when they commit to one side, the development special lands, it's very hard for them to switch sides once a Crackthorn goes down one side. So the Runin, if it comes down on that side, it's very difficult for them to deal with. So Runin single-handedly could have shifted our last core set meta just because of how powerful it is.
Yeah, that said, though, Crackthorn decks have also been known to include Runin now. It is just that strong of a card. And also in the past, Crackthorn decks used to run double feed, and now you can get away with running 3 copies because when you find your Runin, it is a fantastic feed target. So it kind of like rewards the Crackthorn deck more synergy by adding in the Runin, even though you don't usually want to start Triple Forest, but you have those Wood Ellies, so quite often it's not that much of an issue.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to try the feed variant of Crackthorn. I have played Runin in Crackthorn recently. It's been pretty decent, but I think the feed really pushes it just a little bit extra. Being able to get more economy, being able to come back as well, which can really help Crackthorn being able to just take care of one of your creatures that are not doing much, get that Faeria back, and then maybe push a Crackthorn to apply pressure. But yeah, Ranma versus Alva, that's going to be coming up, guys. We have Zologrim and Superb Lizard on the cast for you. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks for the information on Alva. I think we all know he's been a very good green player for now, quite some time, especially with the command tech. He's been proven to even win against the blue matchup, which is generally speaking a hard matchup. But as of today, we've seen King Dance doing very well against the blue with beating Cedrus with a fantastic list, cutting down on these Verdant forces, really annihilates almost the threat of your creatures losing value when getting frogified. Because as you see, Verdant force is the only 6 cost really, and then you have the mobility, or rather the utility, to spread your buffs accordingly so you don't have to play into Frogify that hard. And yeah, Ranma bringing what looks like to be yellow tempo here. As Capo mentioned, with the Runen changes, it's a hard matchup, I'd say. What are your thoughts, Solo?
Okay. First, all German stream. I have to point out that's very amazing. As you guys can probably tell by our accent. Anyway, as was already expertly pointed out on the desk, Alva going to start his mono green as well, and I think the tournament format we're using for these cups is one thing where you have to see how far the expertise with one deck can take you, because you have to be confident in all of your matchups. Otherwise, if you don't practice the other decks a lot, you might be prone to small misplays that might eventually cost you the game. But I think first the other guys had established that with the addition, the buff of Runin to these green decks, yellow tempo is supposed to be not favored anymore against green, and I imagine Ranma must have been testing this matchup, so I'm really interested to see what additions he's made to this deck to feel confident going up against green with it.
Yeah, we still see a Kalim though. It has been fallen out of favor of a lot of players, but it's still very good with mobility, and making use of that charge 2 flying can really sometimes make it the game. Now the question for Ranma is, does he want to clear the Verduran Force as of now, or does he choose not to? We see a potential punish in the hand of Alva with the Horsemaster land, so he would be able to make the double land, and then Horsemaster scoot down to clear off the Charger. And it looks like he's gonna get punished here, yeah.
Yeah, Alva seems to be running a very mobility-heavy mono-green deck with the Horsemaster and Grove Caller in hand, which give him a lot of options, especially against these elusive creatures that Yellow Tempo likes to run. So I think, especially in this case, like only having the Horsemaster gives him a huge edge, because he manages to get rid of that Windstorm Charger quite handily, and even establish a presence on Ranma's side of the board. And yeah, like you said, Kalim haven't fallen out of favor lately due to the addition of the desert to his casting cost, which just makes it pretty impactful that he comes down one turn later. But Ranma manages to at least get rid of the Verduran Force with the Wind Soldier that he picked up, so I think he's going to be pretty happy with that.
Well, you can't be really that happy if you have to trade in a Wind Soldier and 2 trainings on top of the Charger. I think Alva got some pretty nice value out of it already. And yeah, Ranma's now down on cards, which is very important for the yellow player. Because if you're down on cards, usually it's not great.
Yeah, and the emote from Ranma after Alva picks up that rune and instantly plays it, because like we said, this card is just so hard to deal with for yellow, because there's absolutely no card that manages to get rid of it permanently. So we'll just have to see if he manages to somehow out-tempo Alva, but with a very heads-up play, he put his first land to the side, so he's even if Alva, if Ranma would have like a movement trick in hand, he wouldn't be able to create an aggressive land and try and race. So yeah, I think it's looking pretty rough at the moment after the Horsemaster start for Alva, for Ranma.
Yeah, we see 9 damage here on board for Alva, and Runen's just gonna get value. I imagine Alva's looking at trading in Runen and then dropping the Horsemaster, I guess, to clear off the Coloss.
Yeah, I think he could he could definitely go for Runin and Horsemaster with Horsemaster to get rid of the Colossus, but then he won't be able to play the Runin again unless he picks up the Feed the Forest. I'm not sure if he's going to use this at this point, though. He could also just go straight face. I don't know. I'm not sure if you want to rush the Kalim.
You could trade in the Runin and then you +1, play Rune again and feed it. And that way you get enough Faeria to play the Horsemaster as well, right?
Yeah, but that's actually feeding a Runin that early is actually not always the best play, I think, because you can get much better value from the feed from her after she's gotten a couple of buffs. And I don't think Alva is under a lot of pressure at this time, so I think it's safe for him to play it patiently.
Yeah. And he's just gonna say, I ignore this Colossus. You don't have a Nightmare in hand, and it looks like Ranma doesn't.
Yeah, Nightmare would have been a very solid pickup for Ranma, but even so, against the Runin, it's not very efficient. So we'll have to see how many he decides to run anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what these special tactics are that Cappuccino promised us from the yellow deck, or if we haven't seen it yet. So probably either way, it's going to be hard to deal with this early Runin, no matter what modifications you make to your deck.
Yeah. And this is kind of funny because usually it was Kalim on turn 2 that secured the deal. And now it's the early tempo play by the green player with a Horse Master that sealed this game already, almost.
Yeah, Runin definitely turning the tables on Kalim having traditionally been too slow, and Kalim early on always edging out the matchup. So this time it's more like early Runin and early Kalim. Well, Kalim got nerfed, Runin got buffed, so she looks like a stronger card at the moment.
Yeah. Actually goes for the clear here, and I'd imagine you drop the Verdant Force in the back, so next turn you could potentially teleport it for a lethal.
I'm liking the...
Oh.
Yeah, I was about to say that I like the full clear, because like I said, Alva is not under any kind of pressure. There's no reason for him to put himself into any position where he might eventually lose, because just having Runin in hand and being able to collect is basically a safe late game win for him. So especially in a tournament like this, I think it's very important to know when you will be able to play safely and take the win home 100% instead of like going for the 90% play and maybe being unlucky about it and losing what could be a very important match.
Yeah. And this Runin is gonna get so much value, potentially clearing off another demon maybe, with the help of Grove Caller. It's in a defensive position though, but maybe the Grove Caller can make something happen here.
Yeah, I don't think Alva has to do a lot at this point in the game. Basically, he can set up double collecting, slowly push down his line of pressure with the Runin through one side, just keeps replaying it every time she dies, and just grind out a win that way.
Yeah. And the unfortunate thing for the yellow player is Nightmare is not an answer. Clearing Runin and investing resources is just not an answer, because as long as Alva has a one collector on the board, he can just +1 play Runin again. And the yellow player has to actually draw cards, and then he spends these cards to deal with Runin, whereas Runin just returns to the hand every time she dies, and you don't really have to care for card draw anymore with the as the green player.
Yeah, she is still one creature only though, and she does cost 5, so I think basically the only option that Ranma has the chance of trying to eke out a win here is he has to try and go for some kind of immense pressure play in one turn, like gathering a couple of cards like a movement trick, a soul drain for Runin for example, and then try and take full control of the board in one turn using these chargers and tricks that he has in his board. Otherwise, I don't see any chance for him to drive this home if he just has to keep killing Runin over and over.
Yeah, I think you could perhaps look at some cheeky burst lines with the chargers, but then again, he used up all of his 3 trainings in the beginning. That's usually very bad, since you rely heavily on having these trainings in hand and not have to make the lands to hit face.
Yeah, absolutely, and all these movement tricks in Alva's deck are just doing so much work. I mean, he played 2 Grove Calls and 2 Horse Masters on less than half his deck already, so we can assume that he's probably going to run like maybe 3 of both, which is a ton. So he is definitely very focused on being able to reach the enemy creatures whenever he wants to, maybe at the expense of running buffs, which we haven't seen a lot of so far in his deck.
Yeah. And it looks like Ranma submitting to the renewable resource that is Runin. The green powerhouse takes down the Sky Captain. And yeah, it's 1-0 for Alva. What do you think Ranma will bring to counter this green? Probably a blue, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's going to pick a blue deck, because I think with the recent resurgence of Runin, even now most players will be kind of forced to bring anything blue with transform effects, because last month maybe you could have gone away with without bringing blue, but against Runin you definitely just need to have options. And unless we will see like people putting Shara back into their decks or something, I think blue is still far and away the best option of dealing with her, and also applying early collecting pressure on green, which might be very favorable.
Yes, I think so too. We do have seen King Dance taking down Satura's blue though, so maybe there's some chance again for Alva to prove that his green is truly worth the green of a monthly cup, and maybe even try to take Ranma down in a 3-0 perhaps, if this blue list doesn't deal with it. But
Yeah,
we see Dream Reaver. Well, that's got to be favored, right?
It should be favored, I think, yes. But then again, I think Alva, like you people have mentioned, he's been playing green over and over. So I think he probably put all the eggs in his green basket, which is also why he's starting off with it. He just wants to drive this home, and I think if anyone, like we could say, had the chance of going the 3-0 with the green deck, it should be him after he's put in so much time into the deck. So we can expect he knows this blue matchup. I mean, he has to know that Ranma is going to bring blue to counter his Runin, so maybe he will be able to use all his movement tricks, which are also very handy against blue, to try and get favorable trades in.
Yes. Ranma has to respect a Grove Caller here. This could be a potential top deck for Alva. If he finds it, that would be huge. Doesn't look like it though. He has the ability to Runin to Willow Feet though. I think that might be something he wants to look at. Yeah, so he goes for the combo, and then he can even Time of Legends to draw into Runin.
Yeah, no harm done in going for the Willow Feet, I think, because it won't be able to deal with the creatures from Ranma very efficiently anyway. And like I said, we haven't seen many buffs in Alva's deck yet, so I'd be really curious to find out if he's not playing any, or if he just hasn't drawn them yet.
Now Ranma though can take the value trade with the Emperor's Command if he chooses to, and doesn't look that bad, to be honest. I mean, Frogify would probably be better, but then again, as Kapu mentioned, you really want to clear Runin one time on board, and then wait for your opponent to play it again to Frogify, so that you get more value out of your Frogify.
Yeah, absolutely. And the library is a crazy strong pickup for Ranma at the moment, if he manages to protect it, which is definitely a bit harder than against traditional green deck with the amount of movement tricks that Alva runs. But still, we can expect him to drop it now, and if Alva won't find something to answer it right now, I think he'll be in a very good spot. Because Runin is just not the powerhouse that it would be against a non-blue decks.
Yeah. So definitely we see the library here come down, and let's see if he can manage to find the Frogify, or if Alva can manage to find the command in response to get rid of the library.
Yeah, command would have been amazing, but did we actually see him run commands in the last match?
No, I'd imagine he run command because he played it on ladder, but then again, if he wants to bring blue, command is a staple there as well, so you might want to cut it in green.
Yeah, it depends, like I said, how many eggs he wanted to put in his green basket. If he just puts all the power cards in, because he kind of needs the command, I think, against blue to help with the matchup and get rid of the libraries early on. He didn't manage to find the transform effect so far, so I think if Alva manages to get the Faeria, which he should, we can expect him to keep playing Runin over and over to get value out of her before Ranma manages to find those transform effects.
Absolutely. That being said though, Ranma gets to have 2 draws next turn, and he's getting closer to that Dream Reaver. And I'm not sure if Alva can deal with it once Runin is gone.
Yeah, he's getting closer to the Dreamweaver. He's getting additional free Faeria every turn. He's getting additional cards, which make it more likely that he's going to find the transform effect. So it's definitely looking very solid for Ranma at the moment. But Alva still has a fair amount of pressure on the board with his creatures. And if Ranma does not manage to find a transform effect, like arguably next turn, he might actually be in a bit of trouble because Runin is threatening to apply a ton of damage to his face if she manages to get a hit in.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily look at the face damage. I would have considered more the Horse Last Mine to clear off library. But maybe if Ranma decides to drop the second library now, you could actually consider going for face. But then, of course, there's the probability of playing into Radiance, of playing into other heals, and just giving your opponent the resources, really.
Yeah, the problem is that Alva has to expect the Dreamweaver right now. But he could still like clear the whole board, clear the Battletoads, and use the Horsemaster and go face. Actually, yeah, go face with Runin unless Ranma manages to put down some defensive creatures.
Looks like he might just block though with Runin. Oh. Interesting.
He plays the second library. Okay, that's
Does he
very
block
manly.
with the commander? He should block his orb with the commander then. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise he might even be under threat of being OTK'd by a couple of buffs, which we haven't seen so far, but you never know. Okay.
Doesn't respect the Horsemaster.
Oh,
And there's
that's-
one buff
that's
already.
10, that's 14 damage. So, yeah, although, to be fair, Alva can't play both buffs and even the Horsemaster at the moment, so it's not as threatening as it might look. And Ranma can play the Dreamweaver next turn.
Yeah.
But the Dreamweaver will only put him back to 10. I mean, if Dreamweaver puts him back to 10, absolutely, I think you have to go for the Horsemaster into face play right now. Trade with the commander, and next turn he goes to 10. Runin is still lethal with the libraries on board.
Yeah. And I mean, you would play into Radiance for a bit, but then again, you're just putting your opponent so low, and you say, come on, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah, but
And that's what he's
even
gonna do.
Radiance, even Radiance, if he draws it, is not going to do that much. Yeah, he gets the Radiance, but let's see. Alva has double buffs. Okay, one buff. He has buff in hand, so that's still 10.
I think
and-
he might draw a transform though. I think he has to go for it. Right?
Yeah, we haven't seen any transform effects, which might be a bit unlucky depending on how many he runs. But this
I
must
think
be
it's very likely.
super uncomfortable for Ranma right now.
You have to have a Frogify or at least a Phantasm show up in the next draw, or yeah. It's basically
Yeah, but
basically
it's
Transformer
what
Bust.
you really don't want to do if you can avoid it at all. Like trying to top deck the card that you need in order to save you the game is always the last resort. I mean, yeah, he most likely will have to do it, but it just feels so bad. And he doesn't
Oh,
manage to find the
And he
Frog.
doesn't find it.
Oh, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. And yeah, Ranma not respecting the Growth Call, the Horsemaster here.
Yeah,
I would say that's kind of a
like-
greedy line.
Yeah, Horsemaster getting so many insane value trades in both of these matches we've seen so far from Alva. Definitely MVP, I'd say, so far. And now that Ranma has spent basically his matchup, what has he got left? I think we can kind of expect the
Yeah,
Mono Green Mirror now. Yep.
and it looks like it. No, will Ranma be able to beat Alva, the green veteran? That is the question here.
Yeah, the Voice of Truth is a very solid addition if you're expecting to run the Mono Green Mirror, I think. Personally, I think it's a wise choice to take it into any kind of Mono Green deck if you think you're going to be running up against a Mirror match. So I'm a bit surprised we haven't seen more of them personally, to be honest.
I mean, it's not only good in the mirror, it's generally just a strong card because you get to restore your creature's health, or you could punish your opponent for overbuffing. There's a lot of possibilities, but we see Runin in hand for Ranma, And if this gets out of hand quick, this might be a very one-sided match.
Yeah,
And the
okay,
time
so
pickup for Alva as well.
so it's going to be the I don't know.
Yeah, another wolf
power
frenzy.
killing each other off.
on us.
And I don't know. I thought we were past these days, to be honest. We'll have to see what these players do now, regardless of the runing, I think, because if they both play it each turn, it kind of neutralizes each other, and the rest of the deck will decide who manages to win.
Yeah, that's true. Now, Time of Legends is doing some work here for Alva. What do you think of the card in a mono green deck?
I'm curious to see. We haven't seen a Tethra so far. Generally, I would personally say you don't really want to run Time of Legends in a deck with only one legend, unless you absolutely 100% want to draw that legend as much as possible. And most likely, Runen is that good right now in a green deck that is exactly the case. So even okay.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, that was a short series.
I'm not even sure if it was game over at that point, to be honest. Kind of hard because you can't look at the board state anymore. So, yeah, absolutely. Alva crushing Ranma with this mono green movement heavy deck.
Yeah.
We'll be very interested to see what the people at the desk make of this series.
Yeah, definitely an interesting matchup.
All right, guys. That actually caught me off guard there. I didn't expect it to end so quickly. I was just quickly sorting something out, and all of a sudden, bam, it's over. So sorry for the delay there. Alva, very dominating performance here. What do you think, Cappuccino?
Yeah, that was a very swift victory for him. It looked very dominant too. It was really cool to see Horsemaster. Now, in my experience, I've played a lot of green on ladder, and you know, I'm someone that's always ran triple Horsemaster. I didn't like running Grove Callers because up against blue decks that run library, you have to have the Horsemaster to get up, deal with the library. Up against yellow decks, you need the Horsemaster to deal with their charger. Now with Runen being such a powerhouse as well, having the charge for Runen to get up aggressive is like super powerful. It looks like Alva is doing a hybrid mix of the two, which is probably better. He's certainly likely to be way more experienced with the new Runen than I am. But it's interesting because you see a lot of people still running just triple Grove Crawler, not wanting to run Horsemaster, and those are the people that are struggling against yellow, struggling against blue, and it looks like Alvar has switched in a couple of Horsemasters to keep that matchup still good for him.
You know, I felt the same with Crackthorn, actually. My last version of Crackthorn I played, I was just like, you know, Horsemaster is just better than Grovecaller in most cases, especially in the early game as well, because you need so many forests to get Grovecaller active. Not so much of an issue in mono green, but you're always going down one side. And if you can get an early Horsemaster down, take care of the collector in the early game, has a lot of influence. Like you said, if a library shows up, if you can get those double neutrals cut across to snipe out that library, it's much easier to do than setting up forests over a couple of turns to try and teleport over. So I totally agree with you there on Horsemaster. I've been a big fan of the card in Crackthorn specifically, and to be fair, it's probably one of the best mobility cards in the game right now.
Yeah, certainly a very strong card, and I'm actually really curious what his exact list is because it looked very strong. I don't know if it's just one Horsemaster, if it's two and two each, like two Grove Crawler, two Horsemaster. I'm certainly going to be excited to see what his deck list is after the monthly cup's over, whether he wins it and it's shared, or maybe I can PM him and see what it was, because yeah, very strong deck, and wow. I mean, could it have been any more hype than that? Alvar's been crushing on ladder with green, goes into the match, 3-0s with green. Like, wow.
He put all his eggs in one
sick.
basket, and it was the green basket, and currently it's doing pretty well, but you have to give your hand to Runen here. Runen is definitely putting in the work. Very, very awkward card to deal with without transform. I actually wrote a guide about Runen recently, and one of the easiest ways to stop her is to Faeria starve your opponent before you kill her, so they don't get to play her immediately after. But easier said than done in most cases, I find.
Yeah, exactly. Runen, when he's pushing aggression and, you know, you're about to start getting chunked down every turn, you have to start defending, or you have to be way more aggressive on the other side. And it's like, if you went up the same side as your opponent, it is so hard to then turn around and get aggressive before they're just killing you. So yeah, Runen is incredibly strong. We saw it even with Time of Legends, spending 1 extra Faeria for Runen. The current design of Runen is worth spending 6 Faeria on. It's just that strong.
Well, it's very similar to Kaleem previously, right? Time of Legends showing up in yellow decks to get that Kaleem early to make sure you could go and collect off the opposite side of the board, fly around, have a lot of influence. Runen is kind of very similar in that respect, but it has to move across land, but it has that dash to set it up in a good position for you early on. And then once it dies, you can dash it more aggressively, more defensively, whatever you need, really. She's very flexible when it comes to moving around the board. But that's it for Runen for now. Alvar moves on 3-0 against his opponent. I do have a bracket here for you just to take a look at what other games have been going on. Killing Time versus King Dan's Imperia taking 3-1 over Teddy. Ranma, Alvar just defeated Ranma, and then we have Strudel and Aether So our top 4 is starting to shape up once again. Now, we do have another reveal for you guys coming up. I hope you guys are excited about that, but we're going to go to a quick break first, and then when we get back, we will reveal some more Oversky cards.
Discover the Adventure Pouch Oversky, featuring a first-of-its-kind co-op campaign. Team up with either friends or powerful Faeria characters and discover a ton of new content, including more than 30 new cards. Join now to experience the Emperor's daily challenges and reap exclusive rewards. Explore the Oversky and reap the rewards today.